Welcome, dear listener, to our cozy fireside chat about the vast and entrancing world of Elden Ring. In this episode, we'll be exploring the ancient history that shaped the lands between, long before our tarnished hero set foot on their fateful path. So settle in, dear listener, and let the crackle of the campfire and the whisper of the wind through the Erdtree's mighty branches lull you into a waking dream as we delve into the legends of yore. Fear not if you've never set foot in Elden Ring yourself. We'll be your guiding light through these misty veils of myth and memory. In the misty depths of time, long before the rise of the Erdtree and the ascendancy of the Golden Order, the lands between were a realm of primordial chaos and ceaseless creation. This was the Age of Ancients, an era when the very fabric of reality was still raw and unformed, and the world was a crucible of roiling energies and endless transformation. At the heart of this primeval epoch lay the Crucible, a seething cauldron of life and vitality, the wellspring from which all existence emerged. From its churning depths arose the first and most primal forms of life, the ancestral spirits, the great dragons, and the countless hordes of chimeric beings. In this age of untrammeled growth and boundless potential, the dragons held sway over the untamed wilds, their mighty roars echoing across the uncharted expanse of the world. The ancestral spirits, ancient and wise, dwelt in the shadowed places and whispered cryptic truths to those daring enough to seek them out. And everywhere, the myriad spawn of the Crucible teemed and multiplied, their diverse forms and functions a testament to the sheer fecundity of life itself. Yet even amidst this riot of creation, there were those who sought to unravel the mysteries of the Crucible and harness its power for their own ends. These were the early sorcerers and seekers, intrepid souls who braved the perils of the untamed world to delve into the secrets of the primordial current that flowed through all things. In hidden groves and secluded caves, these proto-scholars gathered to study the workings of the Crucible and the arcane arts that could bend its energies to their will. They carved runes into stone and bone, seeking to channel the raw power of creation into spells of terrible potency. They brewed elixirs from the blood and ichor of primal creatures, hoping to imbue themselves with the strength and resilience of the ancient beings that roamed the world. Yet for all their daring and ingenuity, the seekers of the Crucible's secrets could never fully master the forces they sought to control. The power of the Crucible was too vast, too untamed, to be contained by mortal hands. And so, even as they pushed the boundaries of their understanding, the sorcerers of the Age of Ancients found themselves forever grappling with forces beyond their ken, dancing on the edge of a yawning abyss of mystery and madness. Still, their efforts were not in vain. Through their studies and experiments, these early scholars laid the foundations for the magical arts that would one day shape the course of history in the lands between. They discovered the first glintstone sorceries, the rudiments of the power that would later be honed to perfection by the Academy of Raya Lucaria. They unraveled the secrets of the primeval current and learned to tap into its arcane energy. But perhaps most importantly, the seekers of the Crucible began to glimpse the deeper truths that lay at the heart of their world, the fundamental interconnectedness of all life, the cyclical nature of existence, and the ultimate unity of all things in the great churning cauldron of creation. These insights, hard-won and dearly bought, would go on to shape the beliefs and practices of countless generations of scholars and mystics, echoing down through the ages like ripples in the fabric of reality itself. And so, as the Age of Ancients drew to a close and the Crucible's primordial energies began to wane, its legacy endured, a testament to the enduring power of discovery and the unquenchable thirst for knowledge that drives the human spirit ever forward into the unknown. Today, as we look back upon this mythic epoch, we can still catch glimpses of its wonder and terror in the very bones of the world, in the twisted forms of the misbegotten, the otherworldly cries of the ancestral spirits, and the ancient ruins that dot the landscape like half-remembered dreams. For the Crucible, though long diminished and forgotten, still pulses at the heart of all things, a reminder of the primal forces that shape our existence and the boundless potential that lies waiting to be unleashed within the crucible of our own souls. And as we stand on the threshold of a new and uncertain age, perhaps it is to this ancient and abiding power that we must turn once more to draw strength and wisdom from the wellspring of creation itself, and to forge a future as rich and wondrous as the primordial past from which we all spring. As we drift deeper into the realm of myth, we find enigmatic traces of the great dragons and beastmen said to have emerged from the Crucible's depths, creatures of awesome power and inscrutable purpose. Yet as the ages turned, a new force would rise to tame the Crucible's untamed wilds. And lo, a new order dawned upon the lands between, heralded by the Erdtree's radiant ascent. This towering titan, part tree and part divine being, brought light and order to the primordial world, its vast canopy and nourishing sap, taming the once wild lands. Under the Erdtree's hallowed boughs, life flourished anew, given grace and purpose by its guiding presence. The dragons and beasts of old receded, supplanted by a new generation of beings shaped in the Erdtree's image, noble and fair, yet still bearing the hidden echoes of the Crucible's primal essence within. In this golden age, the Erdtree presided as both mother and ruler, its roots delving deep to nourish the land, even as its branches reached skyward in celestial majesty. The once fractured wilds of the lands between knew unity and plenty, guided by the Erdtree's eternal watch. Yet the Erdtree was not alone in its ascendancy, for as it rose, so too did a pantheon of demigods, scions of divinity, granted life and purpose by the Erdtree's power. Greatest among them was Marika the Eternal, she who would come to shape the very foundations of the world. Whispers of myth and legend surround Queen Marika the Eternal, the Erdtree's chosen champion and vessel. An Empyrean born of its golden sap, she was both demigod and prophet, wielding unparalleled might and wisdom as she shepherded the lands between into an age of unprecedented grace and gold. It was Marika who first harnessed the Erdtree's power for the forging of great relics and wonders, chief among them the Elden Ring. This sacred band, imbued with the very essence of order itself, served as both symbol and seal of Marika's divine mandate. As Marika's power grew, so too did her works and her progeny. She took the demigod Godfrey as her first lord and consort, their union blessed with children of demigod blood. Mighty champions and paragons were they, Godwyn the Golden, beloved firstborn, fiery-maned Radagon, and fair Ranni, pale as the moon, yet fierce as the stars. And so, the lands between prospered under Marika's golden order, the Erdtree's grace, and the Elden Ring's decree, weaving together a grand tapestry of puissant demigods, flourishing life, and wondrous creations. A true golden age had dawned, and none could have foreseen the shattering that was to come. Alas, no golden age endures forever, no matter how brightly its promise may shine. And so it was that shadow and treachery crept into the heart of Marika's shining realm, heralded by the dread night of black knives. In a single, brutal act, Godwyn the Golden was slain by assassins cloaked in deepest shadow, his once radiant soul hideously defiled. The death of Marika's beloved firstborn sent shockwaves through the very foundations of the world, the first ominous rumblings of the cataclysm to come. Consumed by grief and wrath, Marika's own demeanor darkened, even as bitter rivalries and resentments festered among the demigods. Whispers abounded of Marika's second husband Radagon harboring treacheries of his own, while others spoke of the dark machinations of Ranni the Witch, architect of some dire and inscrutable plot. At last, driven to despair and desperation, Marika committed the ultimate betrayal. She shattered the Elden Ring, sundering its divine grace and unleashing the shattering upon the world. In that cataclysmic moment, the very order of the lands between unraveled, the once united realms fracturing into warring shards, even as the demigods themselves were broken and scattered. Thus began an age of strife and sorrow, the lands between falling into chaos and ruin as the shattered Golden Order gave way to a new era of war, madness, and ceaseless struggle for the remnants of grace. Let us take a moment to explore an important topic in the history of Elden Ring. In the cosmic expanse far beyond the lands between, unfathomable entities known as the Outer Gods hold sway over reality itself. Though seemingly distant and inscrutable, the influence of these eldritch beings permeates the very fabric of existence, shaping the fates of gods, demigods, and mortals alike. The greater will is the all-encompassing force of order and causality that has long dominated the lands between. It is the power that gave rise to the Erdtree, the embodiment of its grace, and bestowed upon the world the sacred Elden Ring, the manifestation of its immutable laws. The Golden Order, the prevailing metaphysical framework of the realm, is the earthly reflection of the greater will's supreme authority. A malevolent and nihilistic entity, the frenzied flame seeks nothing less than the total annihilation of all that is. It whispers madness into the minds of the desperate and the downtrodden, promising liberation through destruction. Those who succumb to its influence become agents of chaos, seeking to unmake the very foundations of reality in the fires of the flame's all-consuming embrace. The formless mother, a grotesque deity of blood and bodily corruption, revels in the twisting of flesh and the shattering of souls. In the depths of Mohgwyn Palace, her faithful revel in sanguinary excess, their forms warped by the mother's blessings. Mohg, Lord of Blood, serves as her most infamous champion, his dynasty a testament to the formless mother's perverse power. An enigmatic presence associated with the wisdom of the cosmos and the primeval current of magic that underlies reality. The Dark Moon was once revered by the scholars of the Eternal Cities. Now, it finds its most ardent adherent in Rani the Witch, who seeks to harness its power to overthrow the Golden Order and usher in the Age of Stars, a new era free from the influence of the Greater Will. Whispered of in the deepest depths and the oldest myths, the primordial Crucible is the roiling wellspring of life itself, the primordial chaos from which all things emerge and to which all things return. Some speculate that it is the true face of the One Great, the unifying principle that undergirds all existence. The Crucible's power is wild and untamed, giving rise to primal life forms and the aspects of the Erdtree before the arrival of the Greater Will's order. From the Outer Gods, let us explore some of the main characters in the Elden Ring universe, the demigods. The demigods of the Lands Between are the offspring of Queen Marika, the Eternal, and her consorts, Godfrey the First, Elden Lord, and Radagon of the Golden Order. Each of these powerful beings claimed a portion of the shattered Elden Ring and now rule over their own distinct regions, shaping the fate of the realm according to their own desires and ambitions. Among the pantheon of demigods that rose to power in Queen Marika's golden age, few loom as large in legend as Radan, Rykard, and Malenia, scions of war, ambition, and rot, whose fates would forever shape the lands between. Radan, born to Renala and Radagon in the hallowed halls of Raya Lucaria, was a prodigy of war from his earliest days. Towering in stature and peerless in might, he rose swiftly to become the mightiest of Marika's champions, a living legend whose very name struck terror into the hearts of the Erdtree's foes. As the Lord of Redmane Castle and General of the Erdtree's armies, Radan led his forces to resounding victories across the Lands Between, his ferocity and tactical brilliance second to none. Yet for all his martial prowess, Radan was also a dreamer, deeply enamored with the stars and the secrets they held. It was this fascination that would prove his undoing, as Radan sought to challenge the very laws of the cosmos in his relentless pursuit of power and knowledge. In a feat of awe-inspiring magic, he battled the stars themselves, arresting their movements and harnessing their might for his own ends. Yet such audacity could not go unanswered. Afflicted with the dreaded scarlet rot and driven to madness by his cosmic transgressions, Radan became a shadow of his former self, a raving, ruinous husk, forever doomed to wander the wastelands of Caelid, a grim testament to the perils of unchecked ambition. If Radan was a paragon of martial might, then his brother Rykard was the embodiment of insatiable ambition. As the Lord of Volcano Manor, Rykard's heart burned with a hunger for power that knew no bounds, a yearning that would lead him down ever darker paths. Seeking to unravel the secrets of immortality and transcend the fleeting nature of demigod existence, Rykard delved deep into forbidden lore and blasphemous rituals. At the heart of his quest lay the god-devouring serpent, a primordial entity of boundless gluttony and malice. In a bid for ultimate power, Rykard willingly fed himself to this abyssal horror, fusing his being with its ravenous essence. Thus was born the blasphemous abomination of Rykard, Lord of Blasphemy, a writhing mass of coiled serpents and twisted demigod flesh, forever consumed by an insatiable hunger for the very gods themselves. From his unholy seat within the depths of Volcano Manor, Rykard spread his tainted gospel of blasphemy and revolution, drawing the disaffected and the desperate into his serpentine embrace. Yet even as he revelled in his newfound power, the spectre of his own undoing loomed ever closer. Born unto Radagon and Marika as a twin to her brother Miquella, Malenia's fate was forever marred by the accursed affliction of scarlet rot. Yet where others saw weakness and blight, Malenia found strength and purpose, honing her body and spirit into a blade as keen as it was unbreakable. As she grew in power and renown, Malenia rose to become the blade of Miquella, her brother's fiercest champion and protector. Clad in resplendent armor of burnished gold and wielding the hallowed sword arts of Miquella's own devising, she struck down all who dared threaten her twin's grand designs. Yet even Malenia's peerless skill and devotion could not forestall the tragic fates that awaited them both. As the shattering plunged the lands between into chaos and strife, Malenia and Miquella embarked on a desperate quest for salvation, a journey that would lead them into the very heart of darkness. In her final, fateful confrontation with Radahn himself, Malenia unleashed the full might of her scarlet rot, the blighted bloom consuming both herself and the Red Lion in an all-devouring flood of decay. Though she would emerge victorious in the end, it was a hollow triumph, one that left her forever scarred and diminished, a fading goddess, forever grasping for the light of lost grace. There are a number of other demigods that are central to the lore of Elden Ring. Godfrey the Grafted. As Lord of Stormvale Castle, Godfrey the Grafted is a vain and cruel tyrant who dreams of attaining the power of a true demigod. To this end, he has taken to grafting the limbs and organs of his vassals onto his own body in a desperate bid for strength. His realm, Limgrave, suffers under his capricious rule and the depredations of his twisted followers. Mohg, the Omen King. As the last defender of the Erdtree and the ruler of the royal capital of Leyndell, Mohg the Omen King fights a desperate battle to preserve the fading embers of the Golden Order. Cursed from birth with the horns and tail of an omen, Mohg has nevertheless risen to become the stalwart protector of his mother's legacy, though the final fruits of his struggle may yet be bitter ashes. Mohg, Lord of Blood. As the Lord of Mohgwyn Palace and the chosen champion of the Formless Mother, Mohg the Omen presides over a nightmarish dynasty of blood and perversity. His foul rituals and insatiable ambition have made him a scourge upon the lands between, and his ultimate aim, the ascension of his stolen prize, Miquella, to godhood, threatens to plunge the realm into an age of unending horror. Ranni the Witch, once Princess Renala's daughter and Queen Marika's stepchild, Ranni has forsaken her demigod heritage to pursue the path of the Empyrean and commune with the powers of the Dark Moon. From her solitary rise in the far north, she plots to overthrow the Golden Order and its two fingers, seeking to guide the lands between towards the freedom and wisdom of the stars. Miquella the Unalloyed. Of all of Queen Marika's children, none are as enigmatic or tragic as Miquella, the eternal youth. Born with a cursed body that would never age, Miquella sought to create a haven for all those afflicted by the cruelties of the world. His dream, the Erdtree, was to be a sanctuary of unalloyed gold, free from the taint of the outer gods. Alas, his slumber was disturbed, and his great work left unfinished by the brutal meddling of Mohg, Lord of Blood, leaving only sorrow and ruin in the wake of his abduction. These are the demigods and outer gods that shape the destiny of the lands between, each a force to be reckoned with in their own right. As the tarnished, the spurned and exiled champions called back to the realm by the shattering of the Elden Ring, it falls to you to navigate this treacherous web of divine ambitions and eldritch influence, seeking the truth behind the Knight of the Black Knives and the fate of Queen Marika herself. May the guidance of lost graces and the strength of your own arm see you through the trials ahead, for the fate of a world hangs in the balance. Thus did the fates of these mighty demigods intertwine and unravel, their triumphs and tragedies forever etched into the very fabric of the lands between. In their rise and fall, we behold both the dizzying heights and the desolate depths of demigod ambition, a timeless testament to the perils and the glories of those who would seek to shape the very stars themselves. Long before the rise of the Erdtree and its golden order, the lands between were ruled by a dynasty of ancient dragons, primordial beings of immense power and wisdom, their very existence inextricably woven into the fabric of the world itself. In those primeval days, the dragons held dominion over all, their mighty wings darkening the skies and their fiery breath scouring the earth. Towering above all others were the great dragon lords, peerless paragons of draconic might and majesty, each a king or queen in their own right. Chief among these primordial sovereigns was Greol, the elder dragon, a being of such colossal size and grandeur that it was said entire kingdoms could dwell beneath the shelter of her wings. Alongside her stood Lanceax, Fortisax, Lich Dragon Fortisax, and Exyx, dragon lords of storm and sky, night and decay, their very names evoking awe and terror in the hearts of mortal men. Yet even in this age of dragonic rule, there were those among the lesser races who sought to partake of the dragon's power for themselves. Thus was born the Dragon Communion, an ancient and esoteric rite by which mortal supplicants would consume the blood and hearts of slain dragons, thereby absorbing a measure of their might and longevity. At the heart of this communion lay the fabled Dragon Temple of Limgrave, a towering edifice carved from the very bones of vanquished worms. Here, under the watchful gaze of the two fingers, the faithful would gather to partake of draconic essence, their bodies and souls forever altered by the transformative power of dragon's blood. As the eons passed and the age of dragons waned, the communion endured, a living testament to the enduring allure and terror of draconic power. Even as the Erdtree rose and the Golden Order spread its radiant grace across the lands, the shadow of the Dragon Lords loomed long, their blood and heritage forever woven into the tapestry of history. Yet the dragons would not fade gently into myth and memory, for even as their numbers dwindled and their might diminished, the last and greatest of their kind fought on, tragic figures of defiance and desperation, their fates forever entwined with the very souls who sought to supplant them. From Lich Dragon Fortisax's doomed defense of Godwyn the Golden, to the depredations of the ruin-mad Greol and the mournful guardian Lanceax, the dragons of the lands between remained an indelible presence, a haunting reminder of an age long past, yet never truly forgotten. And so long as their blood endures, so too does the dragon communion, an eternal covenant binding mortal and monster, past and present, in an unbreakable pact of power and peril. In the grand tapestry of Elden Ring's history, the rise of humans and the tarnished represents a crucial turning point, a paradigm shift that would forever alter the balance of power and destiny within the lands between. Long relegated to the margins of a world dominated by dragons, demigods, and other primal forces, humanity emerged from the shadows as an unlikely but indomitable contender for the lands between's future. Central to this ascendancy was the human relationship to grace, a complex and ever-shifting dynamic that would come to define the very essence of the tarnished and their struggle. In the early days of the Erdtree's reign, grace was the divine lifeblood that flowed from its golden boughs, a sacred benediction bestowed upon those deemed worthy by the greater will. For a time, it seemed that this grace was the exclusive purview of the demigods and their progeny, an immutable birthright that elevated them above the common throng. Yet even as the Golden Order reached its zenith, a new paradigm was taking shape. Through acts of devotion, valor, and sheer tenacity, certain humans began to catch the eye of the Two Fingers and their Erdtree patrons. These chosen few, drawn from among the most capable and unwavering of their kind, were granted a measure of grace, a sliver of divine favor that imbued them with enhanced strength, resilience, and purpose. Thus was born the first generation of Tarnished, humans who had ascended beyond the confines of their mortal station to stand amongst the demigods as empowered vessels of the greater will. Clad in resplendent armor and wielding sacred arms, these Tarnished served as elite guardians, warriors, and emissaries, their every deed a testament to the transformative power of grace. Yet even as the Tarnished basked in the glow of divine favor, the seeds of their downfall were being sown. For the blessings of grace were not unconditional, and the Erdtree's favor could be as fickle as it was empowering. As the Golden Order began to fracture, and the demigods descended into madness and strife, the Tarnished found themselves caught in the crosshairs, their grace dwindling as the very source of their power wavered and waned. In the crucible of the shattering, the Tarnished were put to the ultimate test. Bereft of their divine mandate and facing an uncertain future, they were forced to grapple with the true nature of their relationship to grace. Some clinging to the fading embers of their former glory, sought to rekindle the Erdtree's favor through acts of desperate devotion. Others, disillusioned and embittered, turned their backs on grace entirely, seeking new paths to power and purpose. Yet even in this darkest hour, a flicker of hope endured, for the true legacy of the Tarnished lay not in their ephemeral grasp on grace, but in the indomitable human spirit that had first earned them the greater will's favor. In the crucible of adversity, a new generation of Tarnished would arise, unburdened by the fickle blessings of a faltering golden order, but empowered by the hard-won strength, cunning, and tenacity of their forebears. And so it was that the Tarnished, once mere vessels of borrowed grace, emerged as the true inheritors of the Lands Between's destiny, their bond with grace transmuted into something more profound and enduring. No longer beholden to the whims of capricious gods and fractured covenants, they would forge their own path through the fog of destiny, their every deed a testament to the unyielding power of the human spirit. For in the end, it was not grace that defined the Tarnished, but the Tarnished who would come to redefine the very essence of grace itself. Let us speak for a while on the night of the Black Knives conspiracy and the Deathrite birds. In the tapestry of Elden Ring's lore, few threads are as rich and complex as those surrounding the Carian royal family and their ancient seat of power, Raya Lucaria Academy. Steeped in sorcery and scholarship, these entwined bloodlines and institutions would play a pivotal role in shaping the destiny of the Lands Between. The origins of the Carian dynasty are shrouded in myth and legend, their roots reaching back to the primordial days of the Erdtree's ascent. Some whisper of a pact struck between the first Carian monarch and an outer god of the moon, a covenant that would forever imbue their line with an affinity for the celestial and the magical. Others speak of a lineage descended from the stars themselves, a dynasty of astral beings who traded the cold light of the heavens for the warm radiance of the Erdtree. Regardless of their true genesis, the Scions of Carian would come to be renowned as the foremost practitioners of sorcery and scholarly pursuits in all the Lands Between, from their ancestral seat at Raya Lucaria Academy, perched upon the misty cliffs of Liurnia. They would forge a legacy of knowledge and power that endured for generations. At the heart of this legacy lay the Academy itself, a vast and ancient institution dedicated to the study and advancement of sorcerous arts. Within its hallowed halls, scholars and students from across the realm gathered to plumb the depths of arcane lore, mastering the intricacies of glintstone sorcery and pushing the boundaries of magical understanding. Yet even as Raya Lucaria flourished as a beacon of enlightenment, dark undercurrents stirred beneath its surface. Whispers abounded of forbidden experiments and unsanctioned rituals, of sorcerers delving too deep into the mysteries of the primeval current and the powers of the cosmos. Some even spoke of a hidden faction within the Academy, the Olivinus conspirators, who sought to unravel the very foundations of the Golden Order itself. As the ages turned and the power of the demigods waxed and waned, the Carian royal family would find itself drawn ever deeper into the vortex of history, from the rise of the sorceress prodigy Renala as Queen of the Full Moon to the tragic fates of her children, Rani and Radan, the scions of Carian would leave an indelible mark upon the lands between. Yet perhaps the most enigmatic figure in the Carian saga was Rani herself, a scion of both Carian and Radagon, whose mastery of the cold sorceries of the Dark Moon would lead her down a path of mystery and transcendence. Renouncing her flesh and embracing the mantle of the Dark Moon, Rani would embark upon a quest to unravel the very foundations of the Golden Order, her actions rippling across the fabric of history like the shadows of the moon upon a midnight sea. As the shattering plunged the lands between into chaos and the Golden Order crumbled, the legacy of Carian and Raya Lucaria would endure, a testament to the indomitable power of knowledge and the unyielding spirit of those who dared to seek the truth beyond the veil. For in the end, it was not the radiance of the Erdtree or the might of the demigods that would shape the fate of the realm, but the quiet resolve of those who dared to dream beneath the Dark Moon's gaze. And so the bloodlines of Carian and the scholars of Raya Lucaria would take their place in the annals of history, a lineage of starry wisdom and untrammeled ambition, forever reaching beyond the boundaries of the known in pursuit of a higher truth. Theirs was a legacy written in glintstone and moonlight, a testament to the enduring power of the mind and the unyielding quest for knowledge that would forever define the soul of the lands between. In the vast and haunted wilds of the lands between, there are entities that seem to exist at the very edges of perception, spectral beings that flit between the realms of the living and the dead, the material and the ethereal. Chief among these are the minor Erdtree avatars, spirit summons, and servants of lost grace, beings whose very existence speaks to the fractured nature of reality in the wake of the shattering. The minor Erdtree avatars are perhaps the most enigmatic of these entities, pale reflections of the great Erdtree itself, manifesting as spectral trees scattered across the broken landscape, shimmering with an otherworldly bioluminescence. These avatars seem to exist in a state of eternal half-life, neither fully alive nor truly dead. Some scholars speculate that these avatars are the remnants of the Erdtree's shattered essence, splinters of divine power that took root in the very fabric of the world following the cataclysm of the shattering. Others whisper that they are the manifestations of the Erdtree's dreams, or perhaps its nightmares, given form and substance by the twisting of reality that followed the breaking of the Elden Ring. Whatever their true nature, the minor Erdtree avatars exert a strange and potent influence over their surroundings. Drawn to their ethereal glow, lost souls and wayward spirits gather in their branches, finding a measure of solace and purpose in the avatar's silent presence. In times of great need, these spirits may even manifest as spectral summons, lending their otherworldly aid to those who know how to call upon them. Yet the minor Erdtree avatars are not the only entities to exist in this liminal space between life and death. Throughout the lands between, the spirits of the dead linger on, tethered to the world by bonds of regret, devotion, or unfinished business. Some of these spirits are benevolent, offering their spectral aid to those who would champion their cause or honor their memory. Others are malevolent, their resentment and rage twisting them into vengeful wraiths that prey upon the living. Regardless of their nature, these spirit summons are a power to be reckoned with, a wild card in the great game of destiny that unfolds across the lands between, from the noble knights of ages past to the twisted forms of corrupted beasts. These spectral entities are a testament to the enduring power of the soul and the unbreakable bonds that tie the living to the dead. And then there are the servants of lost grace, those enigmatic figures who seem to exist outside the bounds of life and death altogether. Clad in tattered robes and bearing the sigils of the Erdtree, these silent sentinels can be found standing vigil at the sites of shattered grace, their unseeing eyes fixed upon the distant horizon. Some say that the servants of lost grace are the shades of former tarnished, their spirits bound to the very essence of the grace they once served. Others whisper that they are the manifestations of the greater will itself, avatars of a divine purpose that endures even in the face of the shattering's chaos. Whatever their true nature, the servants of lost grace serve as both guides and guardians to those who would seek the truth behind the mystery of the Elden Ring. Appearing at moments of great import or decision, they offer cryptic guidance and enigmatic warnings, their words a riddle that must be unraveled by those who would claim the mantle of destiny. In the end, the minor Erdtree avatars, spirit summons, and servants of lost grace stand as silent witnesses to the unfolding of fate in the lands between. Spectral threads woven into the great tapestry of history, their purpose and power as enigmatic as the very forces that shape the world itself. For in a realm where the boundaries between life and death have grown thin and fractured, these entities serve as a reminder of the enduring mysteries that lie at the heart of the Elden Ring's shattered legacy, a testament to the power of the soul and the unyielding resilience of the human spirit. In the shadow of the Erdtree's golden boughs, there are those who bear the mark of a more ancient and primal lineage, the Omens and the misbegotten, descendants of the primordial Crucible and victims of a merciless persecution that sought to purge their kind from the world. The Omens are perhaps the most tragic of these outcasts, beings born with the vestigial horns and tails of their ancient forebears, the very emblems of their connection to the Crucible's raw and unrefined essence. In an age where the Erdtree's golden order reigned supreme, such blatant traces of the primordial were seen as an affront to the very fabric of civilization, a reminder of the chaotic and untamed forces that once held sway over the world. Thus began the systematic persecution of the Omens, a brutal campaign of extermination and oppression that sought to erase their very existence from the lands between. Hunted like beasts and driven into the darkest corners of the world, the Omens were forced to endure unspeakable horrors and deprivations, their lives a constant struggle for survival in the face of unrelenting hatred and fear. Yet even in the midst of this unending nightmare, there were those among the Omens who rose above their suffering to become something more. From the vengeful dung-eater who turned the tables on his tormentors with a savage fury, to the tragic Mohg who sought to rise above his cursed lineage through acts of devotion and sacrifice. The Omens stand as a testament to the unbreakable spirit of those who refuse to be defined by the circumstances of their birth. The misbegotten, too, bear the mark of the Crucible's touch, twisted and malformed creatures that seem to embody the very essence of the primordial in all its chaotic and unsettling glory. Like the Omens, they are the victims of a world that seeks to erase all traces of the ancient and the primal, their very existence a threat to the ordered stability of the Erdtree's reign. Yet where the Omens are defined by their tragic humanity, the misbegotten are something else entirely. Creatures that seem to exist beyond the bounds of mortal understanding, their forms and purposes as alien and inscrutable as the Crucible itself. From the grotesque grafted scions who seek to transcend the limitations of their twisted flesh through the unholy fusion of multiple bodies, to the eerie Miranda sprouts whose plant-like forms and hive-mind consciousness hint at a mode of being utterly unlike our own. The misbegotten are a cipher that defies easy interpretation. Despite the efforts of the Golden Order to eradicate the Crucible's touch from the world, the Omens and misbegotten endure, a testament to the indomitable will of life itself to persist and adapt in the face of even the most brutal adversity. Theirs is a story of survival and defiance in a world that seeks to deny their very right to exist, a struggle that echoes the primal chaos of the Crucible itself, with all its wild and untamed potential. In the end, the fate of the Omens and misbegotten stands as a haunting reminder of the dark undercurrents that flow beneath the surface of the lands between, a world where the primal and the ancient are seen as a threat to be eliminated rather than a mystery to be understood. Yet in their very perseverance, these outcasts and pariahs offer a glimmer of hope, a testament to the indomitable spirit of life itself, and the possibility of a world where the Crucible's touch is not a mark of shame, but a badge of honor, a symbol of the untamed potential that lies within us all. In the vast and intricate tapestry of Elden Ring's lore, few threads are as enigmatic and tantalizing as those that surround the two fingers, the three fingers, and the inscrutable maesters. These esoteric entities seem to exist at the very heart of the game's deepest mysteries, their true nature and purpose as elusive and multi-layered as the secrets they guard. The two fingers, those gnarled and ancient digits that serve as conduits for the greater will, are perhaps the most prominent of these cryptic figures, appearing throughout the lands between as desiccated relics. These cosmic appendages seem to possess an oracular wisdom that transcends the bounds of mortal understanding. It is through communion with the two fingers that the tarnished and other seekers of truth hope to unravel the riddles of the Elden Ring and the greater purpose that guides the unfolding of fate itself. Yet for all their seeming importance, the true nature of the two fingers remains shrouded in mystery. Are they mere vessels for the greater will's ineffable design, or do they possess some agency and agenda of their own? Some scholars speculate that the two fingers are themselves but fragments of a larger cosmic entity, digits severed from some unimaginable hand that guides the very spinning of the stars. Others whisper of a primordial duality, at the heart of creation itself, with the two fingers representing one half of a fundamental binary that defines the very fabric of reality. Against this backdrop of cosmic enigma, the three fingers emerge as an even more inscrutable and unsettling presence. Lurking in the depths of the lands between, these malevolent digits seem to embody a darker and more primal aspect of the universe's underlying duality. Where the two fingers speak of order, the three fingers whisper of chaos. Where the two fingers promise enlightenment, the three fingers offer only the maddening flame of frenzy. The relationship between these two sets of cosmic digits is a riddle that has long confounded the wisest of Elden Ring's scholars. Some see them as opposing forces, locked in an eternal struggle for dominance, with the fate of the lands between hanging in the balance. Others speculate that they are but two faces of the same ineffable coin, the yin and yang of a cosmic whole that transcends the petty dualities of mortal conception. Attempting to unravel the true nature of the two and three fingers are the maesters, those enigmatic scholars and savants who have dedicated their lives to the pursuit of ultimate knowledge. Cloistered away in their secluded rise, the maesters pore over ancient tomes and cosmic charts, seeking to decipher the hidden patterns that underlie the very fabric of reality itself. Yet even the maesters seem to be but pawns in a larger and more inscrutable game. Some whisper of hidden agendas and secret loyalties, with certain maesters serving as agents of the two fingers, while others align themselves with the three. Still others speak of a third faction, a hidden cabal of maesters who seek to transcend the duality of the fingers altogether, to uncover a truth that lies beyond the ken of mortal minds. In the end, the mystery of the two fingers, three fingers, and maesters stands as a testament to the sheer depth and complexity of Elden Ring's lore. These enigmatic entities seem to hold the keys to the universe's deepest secrets, yet their true nature and purpose remain tantalizingly out of reach. As players delve deeper into the game's haunting and beautiful world, they may catch fleeting glimpses of the truth that lies behind these cosmic riddles, but the full scope of their significance is likely to remain a matter of speculation and wonder for a long time to come. Perhaps that is as it should be. In a world as rich and mysterious as Elden Ring's, some secrets are meant to be savoured rather than solved, tantalizing threads in a vast and intricate tapestry that we can never fully unravel, but whose beauty and complexity we can marvel at nonetheless. And so, the two fingers, three fingers, and maesters will continue to beckon from the shadows, inviting us to ponder the very nature of truth itself, and to lose ourselves in the haunting and unfathomable depths of Elden Ring's endlessly beguiling mystery. Finally, let's speak on Godfrey, the first Elden Lord. A warrior of unparalleled might and a leader of indomitable will, Godfrey's rise to power and his fateful conquest of the giants would come to define an entire epoch in the history of the lands between. The saga of Godfrey's ascent begins in the misty depths of prehistory, in an age when the lands between were a vast and untamed wilderness, rife with danger and brimming with untapped potential. It was into this primordial landscape that Godfrey, then known as Huara Lu, first emerged, a warrior of humble origins but unbreakable spirit, driven by an unquenchable thirst for glory and conquest. As Godfrey's renown grew, so too did his ambition and his power. With Queen Marika's favour and the blessings of the greater will at his back, Godfrey soon found himself at the head of a mighty host, poised to embark upon a grand campaign of conquest and subjugation that would forever alter the face of the lands between. Central to this campaign was the war against the giants, a titanic struggle that would come to be remembered as one of the defining conflicts of Godfrey's reign. The giants, ancient and powerful beings who had long held sway over vast swathes of the lands between, represented a formidable obstacle to Godfrey's ambition, a primal force of nature that would need to be tamed or destroyed if his vision of a united and orderly realm were to be realized. The ensuing conflict was a brutal and bloody affair, a war of attrition that would test the limits of even Godfrey's indomitable will and martial prowess. For years, the giants and Godfrey's forces clashed across the length and breadth of the lands between, their battles shaking the very foundations of the earth and leaving devastation and ruin in their wake. Yet through sheer force of will and unwavering determination, Godfrey and his armies would ultimately emerge victorious in a final, cataclysmic battle at the foot of the Forge of the Giants. Godfrey himself would strike the decisive blow, felling the mightiest of the giants' leaders and breaking the back of their resistance once and for all. With the giants subdued and their lands brought under his dominion, Godfrey's conquest was complete. The lands between lay united and orderly as never before, a vast and prosperous realm held together by the iron will and indomitable spirit of its first Elden Lord. Yet even in triumph, the seeds of future strife and sorrow were already being sown, for in the wake of the giants' defeat, Godfrey would make a fateful decision to brand the last surviving fire giant with the mark of his defeat, and to consign him to an eternity of servitude as the keeper of the Forge of the Giants. This cruel and callous act, born of Godfrey's unyielding will to power, would sow the seeds of a bitter resentment that would fester for generations to come. A resentment that would one day bear the bitter fruit of vengeance and ruin. For now, however, Godfrey's star was ascendant, and the lands between basked in the glow of a new and glorious age. The giants were vanquished, the realm was united, and Godfrey, the first Elden Lord, stood tall and unassailable as the master of all he surveyed. Yet even in this moment of triumph, the spectre of future strife and sorrow loomed, a reminder that no conquest is ever truly final, and that the seeds of tomorrow's conflicts are always lurking in the soil of today's victories. Such is the nature of power and ambition in the lands between, a cycle of triumph and tragedy, of glory and ruin, that would come to define the very fabric of Elden Ring's haunting and fateful history. In the pantheon of Elden Ring's demigods, few figures are as tragic or enigmatic as Miquella and Mohg, two siblings whose destinies would become inextricably entangled, their fates a dark mirror of the fading of grace and the unravelling of the Golden Order. Miquella, the youngest and most beloved of Queen Marika's children, was a being of immense potential and mystery. Born with the body of a child that would never age, Miquella possessed a wisdom and empathy far beyond his apparent years. He was a visionary and a dreamer, a demigod who sought to harness the power of the Erdtree's grace to heal the afflictions of the world and bring about a new age of harmony and enlightenment. Central to Miquella's grand design was the creation of the Erdtree, a sacred realm suffused with his own divine essence, where the downtrodden and afflicted could find sanctuary and succor. Here, in this haven of grace and rejuvenation, Miquella hoped to gather the lost and broken souls of the lands between, to mend their wounds and guide them towards a brighter and more radiant future. Yet for all his wisdom and compassion, Miquella was not immune to the shadows that lurked within the hearts of gods and men alike. His own brother, the accursed Mohg, harbored a dark and obsessive fixation with Miquella, a twisted desire that would ultimately lead to the young demigod's downfall. Mohg, born under the cursed sign of the Omen, was a being of untrammeled ambition and insatiable hunger. Spurned by grace and exiled to the depths of the earth, Mohg had long nursed a bitter resentment towards the Golden Order and all it represented. In Miquella, he saw not only a means to slake his own perverse desires, but a chance to strike back at the very gods who had cast him out and denied him his birthright. And so, in a moment of darkest treachery, Mohg stole into the heart of the Erdtree and abducted the slumbering Miquella from his cocoon, spiriting the young demigod away to his own shadowy realm. Mohg embarked upon a twisted ritual of blood and blasphemy, seeking to corrupt Miquella's essence and claim his power for his own. The consequences of this vile act would ripple across the lands like a poisonous tide. With Miquella's grace sundered and his dream of salvation shattered, the Erdtree would wither and decay, becoming a twisted mockery of its former glory. The souls that had once flocked to its sanctuary would be left adrift and despairing, bereft of the hope and healing they had so desperately sought. And so, the fading of grace that had begun with the shattering of the Elden Ring would accelerate into a dizzying spiral of despair and ruin. As the Golden Order unraveled and the once great demigods fell into madness and decay, the lands between would become a realm of chaos and suffering, a dark reflection of the betrayal and corruption that had taken root in the heart of Miquella's shattered dream. Yet even in this darkest hour, a flicker of hope endured. For Miquella, even in his broken and tainted state, had not abandoned his vision of a world redeemed by grace and compassion. Deep within the twisted cocoon that had become his prison, the young demigod slumbered on, his mind and spirit lost in visions of a future where the wounds of the past might yet be healed and the light of grace rekindled anew. And so, the tragic tale of Miquella and Mohg would become a parable of both the fading of grace and the indomitable resilience of the soul, a reminder that even in the face of the deepest darkness, the spark of hope and redemption can never be fully extinguished. For in the end, it is not the triumph of evil that defines the human spirit, but the unquenchable yearning for light and healing that endures even in the shadow of the darkest night. And so, dear listener, we come to the end of our tale, for now. The stage is set, the pieces arrayed, and the vast tapestry of Elden Ring's history unfurled before us in all its tattered grandeur. We have borne witness to the primordial Crucible's chaos and creation, beheld the rise of the Erdtree and its golden order, marvelled at the works and days of Queen Marika's shining reign, and grieved the tragic unravelling of it all with the shattering of the Elden Ring. Yet this is but the beginning, a mere prologue to the epic saga that unfolds in the game itself, as our tarnished hero navigates the lands between shattered remnants in search of lost graces and faded glories. There are so many tales yet to be told, so many secrets yet to be uncovered in this hauntingly beautiful and brutally unforgiving world. But for now, weary traveller, let your mind drift on the gentle currents of these ancient myths and legends. Let the Erdtree's golden glow light your way to soothing slumber, the Crucible's primordial song your lullaby. Rest well, dear listener, and dream deep, for when you wake, the lands between await, a realm of endless wonders, terrors, and adventures, forever beckoning to the bold and the braved. Until our paths cross again, fare thee well, and may grace guide your way.